got quite a number of challenges going on there, guys, haven't we? Thank you very much for sharing. Now, I don't mean to make light of them, but challenges are part of the human experience, and resistance to them is what compounds the suffering. So, this is where, at this point, I'd like to introduce, or at least remind you, because most of you are already familiar with the 5 tools of A.T.L.A.S and the A.T.L.A.S framework. But I just want to remind you of how they can be used as a formula to handle all of the challenges that you've just shared in this group. Even though every challenge is unique, the pattern of why they originate, how they emerge, and how we can navigate them is actually very similar. So, first of all, the 5 tools of A.T.L.A.S are designed to shift your internal state in the heat of the moment. So, if you're in a stressful situation, if you're having anxiety, if you're sad, whatever feelings are coming up, then we need something that's going to be powerful enough to shift it immediately. Whilst other therapeutic modalities and practices are extremely helpful and effective in getting you back into that parasympathetic state. So, for example, yoga, meditation, sound healing, cold plunges, whatever is your practice, they're all very good for general health. But in the heat of the moment, when the emotional charge is high and you're feeling overwhelmed, you need a mechanism in place. Okay, so that's what A.T.L.A.S is. It's 5 tools. They're designed to be practiced frequently, and the more you practice them, the more you'll learn which one to apply to which situation. And there is a common thread among them. So I do suggest to start at the beginning. Start with the first one. Exactly. The truth is, one moment you're in control, and the next you're caught in a storm of doubt and stress and uncertainty. And this proven framework helps navigate that. And you learn when to use that metaphor of navigating a storm. You learn when to go through the storm, rise above the storm, or sit the storm out, because not all storms are meant to be fought their way through. You know, not every storm is a battle. Sometimes we do need to sit them out. So anyway, A.T.L.A.S, it's a powerful set of mind tools, and they're designed to shift your state of being in real time. And also, the more you practice them, the more you reconnect to your truest self, receive messages from your own body intelligence. So let's break it down. What are the 5 tools? The first one is awareness of self. So this is where we start to observe who we really are and what constraints have we constructed through the perceived limitation of what we think we are. Okay, so awareness is the first tool, and this goes beyond even ourselves. It's how we are perceiving the world. We question that. We analyze that. We investigate that. Secondly, is the second tool refers to thoughts and feelings. So we need a mechanism to break that cycle of rumination and reclaim as much clarity as we can about what's going on, and then make the decision, which thoughts and feelings are we going to pay attention to, and which ones are we going to let go of. The third tool is locus of control. So this is about accepting responsibility for how we show up in the world. Looking at the cognitive distortions. And what I mean by that is looking at cognitive is the way we think. Distortion is maybe something is not quite right with the way we think. So looking at the way we think, and can we change that? Because in order to make positive change in our life, we need to change the way we think, because what got us here is not going to get us there. The fourth tool is adventurous awakening. And this is where we start to break out of our comfort zones. We take ourselves far enough out of our comfort zone so that we do have that healthy little bit of stress that's going to help us expand. Chronic stress, a state of continued stress where we're in that sympathetic state, is not good. But stress that comes and goes, we're in sympathetic, parasympathetic, sympathetic, parasympathetic. It's actually very healthy. It's where we grow. So it's looking at, what are we not doing because we're fearful of it? And how can we step further out of our comfort zone so that we can expand? And the last tool is the sense of abundance. So this is where I don't like to use the word manifest because it's overused, but this is where we step into a created life rather than a default life, because we have far more power than we can ever imagine to create our path. We just have to get out of the way of that. Okay, so these are the 5 tools of A.T.L.A.S. And the reason why I start with awareness, there's 3 reasons actually. A little bit of a backstory. I put awareness first because I found that the thoughts and feelings and the locus of control is part of strategic psychotherapy, which is fantastic. It's an incredible process in psychology of therapy. It's a great therapy. So, but what I felt was missing was the awareness portion, where we really question, investigate, and analyze who we are. And with this self-investigation, this self-inquiry, and shining awareness on our situation, we level up. We level up our state of consciousness. And it's a little bit like this pendulum. You know, the pendulum is always going to swing in life between the polarities of good, bad, happy, sad, kindness, unkindness, fear, safety. Like, there's a polarity to everything. And if your level of awareness is at the bottom, you're just bouncing around. The polarity is huge. You're experiencing the maximum swing. But as you move up in your awareness, as your awareness, your consciousness gets higher and higher and higher, the swing is less. I mean, look at the difference. Look at the difference between this swing and this swing. So that's what I mean by when you raise your state of consciousness or you raise your state of awareness, life will still throw the challenges. There'll still be the polarity of these thoughts and feelings, but you won't be as affected by them. So that's why awareness is number one. That's one reason why awareness is number one. The second reason is because once you realize your true self, that's your superpower unlocked. Sometimes that can take some time. So yeah, that's how A.T.L.A.S helps. That's the framework of A.T.L.A.S. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to take maybe one of you at a time, and we'll actually use the tools with your challenge so that we can all experience them and how they're going to be used. So I think what we can see from this get together is that the tools are super powerful, and we have just applied them to every challenge that has been presented here. And I can tell you from my experience, I use the tools, I think I use them every day. And they have the difference that they've made in my life is I always have somewhere to go when I'm feeling overwhelmed by an emotion. People and circumstances trigger me less and less. I'm less and less bothered. I'm more in tune with my body intelligence for sure. And every week, every day, it's my body intelligence speaks to me. And I would say even almost every week, it speaks to me through dreams, gives me messages and points me in a direction. Synchronicities occur without me really having to do very much. So I think maybe we could all share some takeaways. A couple of takeaways I'd like to share mine. A couple of takeaways that I would like to highlight here is I think we can all see that it's the resistance to the challenges that are causing the problem. The fact that we think we have to sort them out, and that we've believed them without analyzing them, without validating whether they're true or not. And the curiosity aspect that we brought to them, getting curious about what would it look like if that wasn't true? Because I've already established it might not be. So what would life look like if that wasn't true? In fact, what would it look like if the opposite was true? That already we could see, wow, lightness. If you have not read my book, I would love for you to read it, because I genuinely think that it will help. And the book has a lot more information, obviously, than what I can provide in a 1-hour conversation. So I'd love you to get a copy of that. These coaching sessions are for people that want to practice the tools. So they're free, as you know, and we come together, we share our challenges, and then in real time, we practice the tools so that everyone can get better with them. And I'll leave the link in this post of where you can buy the book. And other than that, I will see you next week. Let's unmute. I might have to stop the video so that you don't all appear on YouTube. Okay, so if everyone would like to sit in a comfortable position and close your eyes and just take a couple of nice deep breaths. And just let everything go. That's right. Drifting off into no place in particular. Knowing what you know and not knowing what you don't know. Give yourself permission to be exactly who you are at this very moment, any way you choose. You can choose to become aware of the slowing rhythm of your heartbeat, or you may choose to be aware of the stillness of your legs or the muscles around your eyes. You might notice that there are different thoughts passing in your mind. They're like clouds moving across the sky. And you might start to feel the first signs of comfort and ease. You might notice different tones in my voice, different sensations in your body, or even the temperature around you. As that comfort broadens and deepens, you might notice that your arms are becoming heavy and that your neck and your shoulders have relaxed. As that comfort has now spread throughout your body from head to toe. And isn't it good to know that there is a place inside you that knows just how to breathe and how to relax? And those deep, relaxing breaths just seem to come. And somehow your conscious or your subconscious takes you into a light state of trance or a deep state of trance. And as you relax back into this now, knowing that there are things that you can control and there are things that you can't control, and that you can choose to attend to any aspect of your experience. You might choose to notice the world within, while others notice the world without. And as you let go of anything that isn't of complete comfort and complete ease, you might become more aware of just how much control you actually have even now in this relaxed state. I often say to people, you're not really responsible for your life until you know that you are responsible for your life. You can only change the way you think when you know that you have the power to change the way you think. And you do have that power to change the way you think. When you realize that the way you look at things, when you change that, when you change the way you look at something, that something changes. The human experience is full of challenges. And I'm sorry to say, it always will be. And that's actually what you signed up for. But the challenges themselves, they're actually neither good or bad. It's only when we choose to assign meaning to them that we give them power. But the truth is, you are much bigger, much more significant than any problem that you could have created. Challenges will always come and go, and life has a wonderful way of providing answers to our challenges. And your life will be determined by which thoughts and feelings and stories you pay attention to, and which ones you choose to simply ignore. And when people have problems like worry, anxiety, overwhelm, self-criticism, and self-doubt, I instantly know that they've been listening to the wrong thoughts. That they have made up a story and they believe it. Because people are stuck except when they're not. People are overwhelmed except when they're not. Things get the better of them except when they don't. Everything that you don't want to happen happens except when it doesn't. It's funny how the mind makes these generalizations, and then unknown to us, it looks for proof and support. Bless it. Someone that is having a bad marriage will notice every unhappy marriage and ignore all the lasting love and support of other marriages. That's how our cognitive bias works. But you're a capable adult of choosing your own path. And the only time you're not in control is when you abdicate. No one can vote you out. You are the monarch, except when you choose to abdicate. And then all your conditioning, all your past will take over. So knowing that your response to a challenge is a pattern that you've been running, and it's a pattern that you have the choice to change now. You have far more choice than you ever thought. And I even wonder, if you look back over the years, look at your successes. These were probably the times that you ignored that old pattern. And if you filled your focus and attention and awareness more on those aspects of your experience, when you didn't run that pattern, I wonder how differently the world would be for you in those times that you allow things to get the better of you and you run that pattern. Now, I'd love to tell you a story. It's one of my favorites. It's called The Choice That Walks With You. A traveller once wandered through a vast forest, burdened by the weight of his troubles. Every stone in his path felt like an obstacle, and every gust of wind a challenge, every shadow a threat. One day he arrived at a fork in the path. On one side, the road twisted and turned through thickets and brambles and thorns, reaching for his skin. The signpost read, "The path of resistance." On the other side, the path looked much the same. It was uneven and it was winding and it was unpredictable. But this sign read, "The path of acceptance." A wise old monk appeared and stood between the two paths. The traveller asked, "But which path is easier?" The monk smiled. "They are the same path." "Then why have two signs?" the traveller asked. The monk replied, "Because the path is not what troubles you. It's how you walk on it." The traveller frowned. "But what if I choose the wrong one?" The monk laughed. "The only wrong path is the one where you close your eyes and stumble blindly. One road will make you suffer. The other will help you grow. The choice is not the road, but it's in you." And with that, the monk vanished, leaving only the whisper of wind. And the traveller took a deep breath and stepped forward. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. This is your experience. I cannot make you do or feel anything. This deep feeling of relaxation and optimism that you feel right now, you might choose to return to this feeling anytime. So in a moment, I'm going to bring you back from this deep, resourceful space. And I'm wondering what future awaits you as you decide which path you're going to change. So putting this together any way you know how, and bringing back any experience you choose, any thoughts that have served you. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, come back to the present. Notice the sensations returning to your hands and your feet. And in your own time, nice and slowly, you can just open your eyes whenever you're ready. Come back to the room. A lovely sleepy feeling. Okay.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Most welcome.